countdown. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever, whenever that you may be tuning in. This is Yonks, and this is now our second community call for 3-Win Social, and have an immense amount of agenda prepared here today. And we're just going to hop right in and get to it because I want to be respectful of everybody's time. And last week we actually went over a little bit, so that's something that I'm going to be doing better on. And I don't think that we have quite as much agenda as that we did last. And one of the things, too, that's worth mentioning is it seeming like a biweekly cadence for our community calls makes the most sense. And if that's something that we want to change in the future, we can do that as well. So just scrolling through the agenda, and I'm going to get a screenshot here of our participants so that I can add this later. All right. So taking a look here, like I said, we've got a lot of agenda. And one thing that I always want to touch on is I love the culture that we're building here. And we will always build people-first organizations and not a technology-first approach. And we're using a FELG culture, which is an acronym for fun, earning, learning, and giving. So anyway, one of the things that I want to touch on, Hero X Solar Prize Round 8. And I actually have our project that we're going to be submitting here for Hero X. And we as a DAO ecosystem have a good amount of history submitting. This will actually be our third solar prize that we've submitted for, and we have actually refined the Gigs Go Green narrative through multiple Hero X submissions in 2023. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love around projects such as these. And to unpack the opportunity, there's $4 million of prize money that the U.S. Department of Energy is putting forward through this specific American-made challenge. And if we as a team do progress through I believe that there's 3 tiers of prize money awarded. At the very last stage, they award 2 prize money checks of $500,000. And not only that, but it's really the recognition that we would receive. And one of the things that we're going to be structuring, we largely work off of a 50-50 split of whether it's prize money, grant money, hackathons, or whatever. So the team that's going to be helping us build this will split that 50%, and then 50% would go to the Gigs Go Green organizational treasury. And we'll come back to this a little bit. One of the things that I brought this up here is one of the deliverables that we have with this first iteration, this first step through the Solar Prize Round 8 is that we do have a 90-second video to create. And that's a great segue over to Sinbad. And I'm going to stop sharing here. And if you want to take over, Sinbad, and talk about your adventure storytelling media. And before I do that, I just want to say I had a fabulous conversation with Sinbad. I met him at the 1 Million Cups meetup in Boulder, and I absolutely love the format of 1 Million Cups, and I'm looking forward to participating in future 1 Million Cups. But I'm going to stop sharing, go on mute, and hand it over to you, Sinbad.
Yeah, thank you for the handoff. So I definitely enjoyed our conversations on Wednesday. 1 Million Cups is my stomping grounds. I'm Sinbad Horizon. I'm a videographer and owner of Adventure Storytelling Media. I believe at some point, Jason has a video he will show to everybody as a sort of sampling of my work and relevancy that sort of topical. I've done a variety of commercial film projects, and the one he's going to show in question is sort of a piece I did for ClimateCon, as he kind of let in before. But long story short is I do have experience taking big, wonderful stories and consolidating them down into a 1 to 2 minute promotional elements to really emphasize, hey, we're doing prominent work, or this is why you should give us funding, which is kind of sounds like you guys are looking to do. And I definitely see a lot of ways I can lend my talents and offer my services to this cause. I do see that, yep, there would be a deadline, and it looks like about 2 months. So if everybody's on board, good. Very much like to start getting on that sooner than later. But I see a lot of like drone aerial shots that could be added, a lot of things because we talked about the lots and incorporating those as a big long-term vision. Because the ultimate element that I see with this is basically conveying to the intended audience that basically, hey, we are looking to not just have greener initiatives when it comes to ride sharing offerings, but also to improve the lives of those that are rideshare workers, whether it's their Lyft or Uber, and that ultimately, you guys have the, ideal best approach, and that's why you should win all the grant money. I definitely see a lot of creative angles I can go with that, and I'm excited to offer my services.
All right, thank you for that introduction here. And I will see if I can. I haven't done very much playing of the videos here. Let me see if how well that this works on Zoom. But anyway, I do have Sinbad's adventure storytelling media website, and it's also linked right over here in our agenda as well as the YouTube video. But let me see. This is only a 53-second video, so let me go ahead and see how this works. And if somebody could do me like a thumbs up with one of the emojis here to see if it's coming through on your end, that would be great.
I've got video, but there's no sound, so that might be the one thing.
Yeah, let me see if there's a method here to.
You'll have to click unshare and then share again. And in the very, very top, up next to the X, there's a use computer audio.
So you say here on share and advanced sharing options. Is that what it is, Paul?
No, yeah, so right here on the right-hand side, so when you hit share, over on the options it says share sound and optimize for video clip.
Okay, cool. I see that check. Optimized for video clip share sound. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, let me rewind it here. All right, and I guess Jorge gave me that worked for everybody. So let me go back to the sharing here of the screen, and let's see. I'm gonna uncheck the share sound. Share. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for Sinbad. Did you want to add anything else before we continue on through the agenda here?
Yeah, I'll just do a quick like send or sign off little statement of obviously you guys saw the main piece in ClimateCon. I have a few other pieces on my site as well. You're more than free to look at, but I once again see a lot of ways to creatively basically tell the story that you guys are trying to do. And yeah, especially when it comes to more greener initiatives, I definitely have experience in that space. Don't even notice though in like ClimateCon, the one of the cool things is when you build a good video profile deck like that, or build it, the old idiom, build this and they will come. There was a lot of like notable like individuals that showed up at ClimateCon. One of them, if you actually noticed, was even like Governor Polis was at it, so that was really wonderful to get to do that kind of level of filming. And yeah, and this is like ClimateCon's main website. So if you if any additional viewers are interested in, attending, getting tickets, that yes, the next one is in Fort Collins in November of this year. So as you kind of let in, great way to sort of spread the word of the initiative. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything for me.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sinbad, and we'll have a side conversation here. But looking forward to working with you, unless there's any red flags. Go ahead, Tyler. I see you've got your mic open.
Oh, not a red flag, just a question. So, do we have the ability to put a picture or a video of Jason actually talking? So have some footage and music and whatever, and then have it switch to a video where he's telling a story. Can you do both? And
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of different video elements. So what you're talking about is basically like the overall audio would be of Jason talking, and then we'd be cutting to B-roll, back and forth. So yeah, there'd basically be a version where we'd find some sort of studio set up for Jason to be in, good lighting, basically side profile filming. We'd have him basically tell the story. And I've definitely done the work you're describing, where it then just kind of cuts away to various B-roll elements, whether it's showcasing things you guys have already done or elements you're looking to do. That's definitely one of the models I had in my head that I'm already like basically making the notes of various plans of action to do. It just, obviously Jason and I will talk later if it's a go ahead to what approach works best between budget and scheduling and elements and all that kind of stuff. But that is definitely a approach we can do.
Yeah, okay, perfect. I just want to make sure because we'll have some B-roll, but a lot of this is it's a lot of this stuff hasn't happened yet. So it's either gonna be like computer modeling or other things. Someone's gonna be talking. That's all I want to know. Okay, thanks.
Oh yeah, worst case scenario, you can always use stock B-roll to sort of emphasize the story. If you look at one of the older pieces I did for ClimateCon, my site, when they didn't have as big of a budget, I definitely made a piece that had a lot more like just stock B-roll. But yeah, there's definitely lots of different approaches, lots of different models. Yeah, the one to the right is definitely an older piece I did when they were still in the early bootstrapping phases and only had so much. But there's definitely models and things we can do. And that's probably actually comparable to what you're talking about. It didn't actually have a studio filming of Michael Scanlon, who is the owner. That's the one in that video. But yes, there's definitely models that I can do that are very similar to what you're talking about.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yep.
And just to set some expectations real quick, Sinbad, I don't know if you're going to be staying on or hopping off, either however you choose. But Tyler and I literally had a conversation with the title agency that we're wanting to use to go under contract with this parcel here in Thornton that we're positioning as the Gigs Go Green Region Village. And that will definitely be something that we want to ensure that we're under contract on this parcel before we would, of course, engage and move the needle forward as far as getting some drone footage and working on the videos and stuff. So we should have determination on that hopefully before the end of next week, and then we can again, we'll have the side conversation here with our core team, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, as far as the drone footage filming approval is concerned, it usually just boils down to two things. One is quick verify on my end, just whenever you can send me the address. I just do a quick FFA search, but Colorado usually doesn't have too many strict things outside of Boulder as far as that's concerned. The bigger one is when it is a privately owned piece of land. It's basically having some approval by whoever owns the property or representation or representative of the owner of the property, just having some written understanding of like, yes, we are giving approval for such and such to do filming and that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions before we carry on with the agenda on with Sinbad and the videographer services that he can provide, hopefully, for our HeroX project?
We're good.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, Sinbad, and looking forward to hopefully working with you on this project. So moving down the list of agenda here, this is probably something very worthwhile. Is one of the things that wanted to do with Telegram is to substantially simplify our Telegram presence. So really collapsed and just flip the switch right now on some of these other Telegram groups. And if you haven't yet joined our Telegram group, this is going to be the primary channel that we're using as a interim solution. And it will look, it'll be uncertain how that will be used after we really work on getting our very much under construction website here that's built with WordPress, and then we're working on getting a mobile app as a companion for this as well to have a fabulous user experience. So if you haven't joined our Telegram group, I'll throw this link in the Zoom chat here for everybody, but would absolutely encourage you to do that, because that's going to be the best place to stay up to date with developments within our community at large. So grants, hackathons, build-a-thons, Hero X. We already talked about Hero X, and this is something that I briefly mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and open up a new tab here. This is what our Gitcoin grant round looked like, and I'll throw the pretty link that we had in there if anybody wants to take a look. And we're looking at it on our screen right here at Gitcoin, gg20.gigsgogreen.org, which redirects to. And during that, we ended up crowdfunding $73, and then through a matching component, we in total raised $160. And this is something that, in order to get our project submitted, literally a couple hours here. So like I mentioned before we went live, likely going to just mostly copy and paste this. And then I don't know how much effort's going to spend promoting that, but from a timeline, Gitcoin grant rounds normally run about 3 weeks. And one of the primary ways that it gets promoted is via various Twitter X X.com, formerly known as Twitter, live spaces, and stuff like that. So also mentioned Dora Hacks. This is another opportunity for submitting a project, and Jorge and I will be working on that. And let me find the Dora Hacks website right here. So this is the opportunity. EDU Chain, Open Campus, they have a token. I'm not going to unpack that, but EDU, I think that they've got like 100 to 500 million as far as what the EDU token, and EDU Chain is a new L3 rollup chain built using the Arbitrum Orbit stack. So you can get more details as far as what Open Campus is at opencampus.xyz, but one of the ways that we unpack these opportunities is largely around a working group series. So Jorge and I, if you're interested, send me a DM wherever. I've got my DMs open, LinkedIn, Twitter, Telegram, wherever. So Hero X, this is something, again, spoke about, and if you're interested in contributing to our team, same sort of deal that we'll be doing there. And I already added a next action where we will be creating a working group series the week of August 15th, where we'll likely probably, and most of our working group format similar to this will be a 1 hour in length. We really found that the 1 hour is kind of a nice sweet spot where people can allocate 1 hour to work through things. And then a lot of the efforts get done asynchronously, whether it's collaborating through Google Docs or whatever that is. But the nice thing about with where we're at is that we've got a pretty refined narrative, and this is another opportunity to continue to refine the narrative. And one of the things that we're going to be a lot more intentional about here for this Hero X submission is getting letters of support from the community at large. And one of the things that we're going to be working with, I mentioned that Tyler and I were at the Community Center for Wealth Building. That's a local organization here in Colorado, where Tyler and I have been participating in a cohort where they've been facilitating a community-owned real estate academy. And this Gigs Go Green Region Village is going to be very much a community-owned real estate situation. And one of the other things that we're looking to do too, I'm going to briefly touch on this, is right now we are going through the process as issuers using Alto IRA, and you can see here where Alto IRA has a private raise portal. And one of the things that I'm really excited about is there's literally trillions of dollars of capital in IRA, and most often the IRAs are investing in the traditional stock market and funds and ETFs and things like that. This is a fabulous way for people that have assets in an IRA to add an alternative like real estate investment opportunity. So through this friends and family round, we're looking to raise probably about $250,000, which will be approximately 20%. And to put some time frame on things, this isn't something that we're really going to be promoting at large, because we're really wanting to have about 10 people come in at 25K. But we'll have more conversations about that, because right now the goal is to get under contract with that parcel. And to unpack the timeline, we're not looking to close on this until the end of March of 2025. So we have an immense amount of runway. And one of the other ways that we're going to be capitalizing our project is with ChainRaise. This is one that this is a regulation crowdfunding platform. This is the offering that we're absolutely going to be promoting for our ecosystem at large, where and I'm not even going to unpack that any more than that. Is there anything that you want to say on those 2 points, Tyler, before we move on? I didn't even have agenda allocated for those, but I thought that it would be worth mentioning that.
No, I don't have anything to add.
I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely, Jorge.
I know these platforms are already there, they're regulated, compliance and all that. So I say if I was an investor and I want to contribute, it shouldn't be a problem. Even I'm in Canada, right? It shouldn't be a problem. It should be all good.
I can't speak to the global opportunity, because the IRA probably not, because that's more of a tax shield for United States taxpayers. I don't know about ChainRaise. I'll send an email to ChainRaise, but we can have that conversation later. And whether there'll be other opportunities to come in, that's something that we can unpack offline, because would love to create a more inclusive opportunity for people to invest in our projects.
Jason, put on our follow-up list also to find out if you have a U.S. company and that company is an investor, if we're allowed to take that. I need to see if the end investor has to be U.S. or if there just has to be a U.S.-based legal entity, or if it doesn't matter. So we just need to double check that.
So I'm putting on here next actions, inquire about ability for global investors invest into our Reg CF offerings through chainraise.io. Does that capture that accurately? I think so.
Yep.
All right, cool. So going back to we talked about HeroX here, push.org. I don't know if I have a window. Let me see if I can find that real quick. This is something that we spoke about on our first community call as well. And let me actually just, because I've got the, and one thing here to go off on a real brief tangent, I don't know if anybody noticed, but using Google Docs, we used ddocs.new for our previous community call. And I still think that there's ease of use as far as more people being used to collectively, collaboratively contributing to Google Docs versus ddocs. So I'm going to continue to use Google Docs for the foreseeable future. So this is the deadline that we have to apply for the push grants opportunity, and this is something that I will do some research on. I don't know how much that it's going to need like a working group series for that, but one of the things that I'm personally going to be doing is going through push DAO's onboarding process to better understand their ecosystem, and probably facilitating some side conversations with their grants committee so that we can position our project, because I think it's about 2,000, and you can see right here types of grant: a mini grant of 2,000 or a growth grant of up to 10,000. And the main opportunity that we're wanting to build with that is to incorporate push protocol into our website and our forthcoming mobile app. So does anybody have any questions, feedback on one of the things that I want to mention here too? Always, whomever, be keeping your eyes and ears open for potential opportunities that are aligned with our DAO ecosystem. It's kind of hard for one person, myself and Tyler, to stay apprised. So if you come across any opportunities that may make sense, let us know. We would love to explore that and unpack that, and that's something that we can bring forward as a talking point here on one of our community calls. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking and see if anybody has any feedback on grants, hackathons, build-a-thons, or HeroX before we move on down our agenda.
One thing real quick, and I'm kind of new, so might be something you guys already know about, but is this team familiar with ETH Denver at all?
Very, very much so, and myself and Tyler have plugged into ETH Denver 2022, 2023, and so absolutely yes. And one of the things that, as far as participating in their build-a-thon, we did that in 2022 and 2023, and it didn't in 2024. But whether we do in 2025 will be a question. I think with where we're at and looking to raise money through and to put a timeline on things, this chain raise is something that we created an engagement with them back in like December or 2023 or 2024. And with regulation crowdfunding, we can raise up to 5 million and 3 buckets of 5 million for each one of these Gigs Go Green Colorado public benefit cooperatives. And our main goal of primarily 2025, Tyler and myself anyway, is going to be to sell out, raise that 5 million, 3 buckets of 5 million. And we do that, it's going to really provide the capital that we need to create these community and cooperative ownership vehicles for bringing about benefit to these Uber and Lyft drivers through Gigs Go Green.
Cool. Yeah. Sorry, you'd mentioned other collaborators, and it was funny that you mentioned you were there, because I was also actually there in 2022. I was running booths for a different company before I got my start in full-on videography. So I just thought it was a fun thing. But if you guys are super familiar, then yeah.
And that's something too, depending on how the raise goes. And we did, as a community, have a conversation about us as a community having a booth at ETH Denver 2024. And when we started unpacking the cost, the booth for ETH Denver 2024 was 30 grand. So that's a pretty high amount of capital. And depending on how our raise goes for through regulation crowdfunding, that's likely something that we will bubble up for consideration and unpack if it makes sense to have that booth at ETH Denver 2025. So that's a good segue into talking about what is our go-to-market strategy. And here I've got a user journey. This is something that we created through the on-chain summer build-a-thon that Jorge and I contributed to, that concluded at the build-a-thon at the end of June. And this is one of the things that we're really going to be, like, when you look at the user journey, and this is the user journey for Gigs Go Green, which is going to be our primary mechanism for onboarding DAO members, Uber and Lyft drivers. So we're really planning to architect a social advertising strategy, whether that we're advertising via Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it doesn't necessarily matter. But the main thing to keep in mind is that we're wanting to create a mechanism that our on-chain ambassadors can replicate, and you'll understand a little bit why. But the goal of the social ad is to get people to register for a free webinar that'll probably be a 20-minute webinar with a 10-minute window there for a question and answers. And then the goal of the webinar is to promote our on-chain bootcamp. And one of the things, that'll be a paid event, and we're really looking at that to be a 2-hour event. But one of the things that will really differentiate how that we're going to offer this on-chain bootcamp is it's literally going to be a 1-year pass. And what do I mean by a 1-year pass? With that NFT that represents their purchase of that bootcamp, they'll be able to participate in future boot camps for 1 year. We really largely operate from the belief that repetition is the mother of all learning. And we're going to be going through a lot of content within that 2-hour window. And then they'll have the opportunity to join our, and for people that aren't familiar, a DAO is an acronym for a decentralized autonomous organization. And that's going to be an annual membership. And this on-chain bootcamp, the $69 at pre-launch, will also include their first year of membership into Tesla Black, which will be a prerequisite for participating in the cooperative ownership of electric vehicles. And one of the things right now that we've got on our calendar is that we're tentatively planning to host our first on-chain bootcamp for Gigs Go Green. And the primary audience for this are Uber and Lyft drivers. And this is something that we're looking initially to facilitate through an IRL, in-person only dynamic, until we really get that dialed in. And then we're going to expand it to a hybrid event format to be more inclusive. And we're looking to host this first one likely at the Lakewood Public Library here in the Denver area. And one of the reasons that we like hosting at a library is that a lot of libraries here in the Denver area don't have a meeting cost for that venue. So it allows us to keep the cost down. And then again, we're wanting to structure this on-chain bootcamp in a manner that can scale on a regional, national, and global basis. So that's one of the things that we're going to be very intentional about, is trying to find venues that make sense for local event hosts to facilitate. And then the other on-chain bootcamp, and this is something that going back to the Dora Hacks, the EDU Chain Hackathon, when Jorge and I were having a conversation, we really coalesced same type of window, Saturday 2 to 4. We really feel like this one, we're going to be primarily targeting students at the Front Range Community College here at the Westminster campus location. And I'm not going to unpack why that we're targeting that particular college right now, but this is something that we're looking to do here through Colorado blockchain. And I'm calling this a tokenomics wheel, because this really unpacks, like, and this is going to be a slightly different price point. Like here for the Gigs Go Green on-chain bootcamp, we're talking at a $69 price point. And I'm not going to unpack the why, but the on-chain bootcamp for Front Range Community College, we want to be a little bit more inclusive with the target audience being college students, of reducing the price point of that for $47. And this tokenomics wheel really unpacks how that $47 is going to be spread around. So we really, and this goes back to on-chain ambassadors, we're going to have a 2-tier affiliate program where the person that is promoting that on-chain bootcamp, like imagine going back to that webinar scenario, like affiliate that's promoting that or facilitating that webinar, they'll get 35% of that $47. And then one of the things with the second tier that we're really wanting to do with having a 2-tier affiliate program is people that get great at affiliate marketing, we want to create an economic incentive for them to teach other affiliates how to promote and market that. And just to unpack one of the BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals that we've created for Gigs Go Green, we're wanting to onboard 10 million gig workers by 2030 in the next 6 years-ish. into our ecosystem. And this is one of the secret sauces that we're going to use through our affiliate and on-chain ambassadors. And within our DAO ecosystem, anybody that is an on-chain ambassador will be able to promote any product or service that we create. And it might look a little different for each product or service. So rolling through the economic wheel here, event hosts, we want to create an economic incentive for the event hosts. I largely anticipate that the event host will also be benefiting over here by promoting their own event. And then one of the things too, what do I mean by a local node? We're wanting to create this ecosystem. Colorado Blockchain is an organization within our DAO ecosystem. And when you think about what is a local node, think of a local node or a chapter. In this case over here, the Front Range Community College at Westminster would be a local node. And one of the goals that we're hoping to create through this format is have some students that say, hey, I love what you all are doing. I would like to be a leader in this Front Range Community College Club association there so that we can create a more sustainable dynamic. And then Colorado Blockchain is the one that's going to be facilitating this conversation. And then the Triple Win protocol, I don't think that we're going to have a sales tax component, but that's one of the ways that we're creating an economic incentive to grow on-chain bootcamp at scale. But I'm going to stop talking and see if anybody has any feedback on this tokenomics wheel before we go on down the agenda.
Good.
All right, thank you, Jorge. And I didn't see anybody else open up their mic. So go ahead, Sinbad.
I was just gonna say real quick, because it sounded like you mainly wanted the feedback on the blockchain element, but in that whole spiel you were talking about like locations to have a lot of the talks at, like various venues, and I'm not sure how many locations you considered in the cadence of like co-working locations, because just to kind of bring this back around to how we met at 1 Million Cups, when I started exploring 1 Million Cups, because they're all over in Colorado, and there is one in Denver. They do it out of the co-working space in Rhino called Enterprise. And whether you do that location or not as a hybrid, a lot of co-working locations will offer like free event hosting and sort of like a cooperative deal. I know that's how like 1 Million Cups does, is like, hey, Enterprise is free co-working on Wednesdays unilaterally. You pay whatever fee to do your event there, so the people who walk in can go check out the space for free co-working. They can get to the events. They might sign up for a membership, and a lot of those spaces, especially depending on where they're located, will have a lot of people getting there via Uber or Lyft one way or another. So it's kind of a big cross-pollination thing, and there's plenty of like co-working spaces all throughout like Denver.
No, and I appreciate that feedback. I'm actually going to add that as a next action is to create an event venue database within Notion that event hosts can use, cost of venue, etc. So I think that that's absolutely fabulous. Very familiar with the enterprise co-working space there. Cryptorado, which is how that I met Arvind, regularly has a free, actually on Friday. So they have a free co-working that members or participants of Cryptorado can use. So moving on down here, one of the ways that we're going to be providing value for our on-chain ambassadors, and keep in mind, like one of the philosophies that I operate as is I'm largely building this ecosystem using an exit to community philosophy. I'm not going to unpack that, but one of the things that I anticipate is that we, Tyler and myself, will get great as Yonk's team, our personal brand of being affiliate marketers. And we actually held one of our first office hours. I'm not going to unpack what Yonk's team inner circle is, but that's a mechanism. And the office hours is really a less formal format than our community call here, where we're going to be working on through 3Win Social. And one of the reasons that we're using WordPress is on the back end, we're using fluent CRM. CRM is a customer relations management or community member relations management, more from a community member approach. And that's one of the things that we're going to be really learning and unpacking together. And one of the things that we spoke about during our last office hours, our first office hours, was one of the value ladders that we're wanting to create for our on-chain ambassadors is website hosting. So right now, Tyler and I, we have our own personal website at yonks.team that we have hosting through another hosting provider for. One of the things that we're going to be transitioning our own personal hosting is we're going to be onboarding as Yonks team into a website hosting service that we're going to create through onchainambassadors.org. And same sort of tokenomics wheel. I'm not going to go through and unpack that, but that's what that looks like. It's here in the Google Docs where we can review that. So one of the other things that wanted to unpack, and again, we'll be, like I've already got on here, create a Let Us Meet for our next on-chain office hours. I haven't done that yet, but that's something that's only going to be exclusively available to current on-chain ambassadors, and I haven't even created the opportunity for people to join Yonks team inner circle. But one of the other things that I wanted to briefly touch on, one of the things that we're wanting to do, and I actually created this Google Doc all the way back here in May of 2025, that this is something that we're going to promote through Colorado blockchain. And just to unpack, Colorado blockchain is going to be a multifaceted. Right now, we are working on, and the paperwork has already been filed for Colorado Blockchain Foundation, which is going to be a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. And the paperwork has already been filed to with the IRS, where we're seeking our 501c3 status, and we're using instant nonprofit for that. And this is something that I'll take offline. Reached out to Elizabeth, who is also a founding member of DunaDAO, and it may make sense for us to potentially create a submission for this research effort that we're looking. And one of the things that we're wanting to do through this research bounty is to really unpack best practices. Best practices is a core component of what we're building here, and we're talking about creating member-centric associations and clubs. We don't really want to necessarily reinvent the wheel. We want to see what's working with other blockchain associations and clubs. And clubs is more through the academia lens. The associations is more through the state lens. So anyway, does anybody want to chime in any thought or feedback on this research bounty before we make sure, because we're here 5 minutes. I feel good getting through the agenda, but we've been capturing next actions. But I'm going to stop talking and let anybody else chime in anything else that they want to, and make sure that we have all the next actions. And the Fathom does a great job. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking now.
No, I just want to add that, there is a lot to offer in here, like when it comes to regulations, compliance, all the platforms that you're showing us. It's just amazing, good information. And thank you so much for all your research and sharing this with us and making us part of, communities, a little bit of tech, people. It's just good stuff. Thank you.
I thought of one. Thank you for the feedback there, Jorge. And this is something now, because the last community call that we hosted, I wasn't able to go live. So create a Zoom support ticket to find out why cannot do a custom live streaming with a recorder option going, because this is definitely a newer problem, and I don't know if that's because of Zoom. If people have used Zoom for a while, they did a very large update to the Zoom UI, and this is a new problem that hasn't existed prior to this major update that they have done recently here. But anyway, I'm going to go back on mute and see if anybody else has any final thoughts before we bring this to a close. I don't see anybody open up their mic here. Go ahead, Jorge. I see you open up yours.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Well, we have most of the stuff looking forward is going to be here the middle of August, and that's so that we can give some runway to work on the Gitcoin grants round. Like I said, as soon as I hop off here, that's what I'm going to be working on getting submitted for Gitcoin grants round 20. The Hero X for people that are wanting to participate in the Gigs Go Green Region Village, that's very open to people. We'll figure out how that we want to kind of keep track of who's contributing what, but we're all learning together, and I do want to thank Paul and Arvin for being here on our your first community call with us. And we'll love to sync up here if you would like. And feel free, like one of the things too, if anybody wants to grab some time on my calendar, feel free. I'll throw this in a link. I have an open calendar where you can grab so that we can have a more detailed conversation as far as how that you can potentially contribute to what we're doing. But I operate from a choose your own adventure with what we're doing here. It's very complicated, but there's almost an unlimited amount of opportunity to get in and contribute. And we're very thoughtful as far as creating incentives for your contributions wherever that fits in. And like somebody like Sinbad that is going to be hopefully professionally engaging as a videographer, where we can organizationally compensate those contributions. Again, choose your own adventure. Love what we're building here, and tokenizing real world assets, RWAs, is an almost unlimited opportunity. It's one of the reasons that Tyler got her real estate license, and I just want to thank Tyler. She's my superpower. Thank you for all that you do behind the scenes. Not only she obtained her real estate license, she's also obtained her Series 65 securities license. She just recently got her SIE, and here soon will be obtaining her Series 82 securities license as well. But you got any final thoughts, Tyler, before we bring this to a wrap?
No, you did a great job. Thanks for getting that together.
Well, I feel better on staying on track for our agenda here today. One other thing, and I did want to bring up because I did have some time. One of the other things that I am going to put forward as another opportunity is Common Ground. I did have some brief agenda on here, but I will likely facilitate a tools working group maybe the 3rd or 4th week of August to implement Common Ground for DunaDAO. DunaDAO is really where we do a lot of experimenting, especially in a Web3 format. That's really the main DAO within our ecosystem that is more for Web3 natives or people that have a little bit more experience. So I'm going to make sure that I've got that on the next actions. So let's see. Create a tools working group to implement commonground.cg for dunadao.org. All right. I'm going to stop the share here, and if anybody wants to say any final thoughts, otherwise we will call this a do, and I'm going to get cracking on getting our Gigs Go Green submission for Gitcoin grants round 20, because I've only got a couple hours to get that submitted before the early bird deadline closes.
I'll just say real quick, glad to have been here and to meet everyone, and excited to see all the fun videographer storytelling things I can offer.
Thank you again so much. Wasn't expecting you to stay on, Sinbad, but loved your feedback throughout, and that's one of the things that absolutely appreciate, and that's one of the things that really resonated with me was the valuable feedback that you provided at the 1 Million Cups meetup, and maybe I will see you here this next week. I got to take a look at what my schedule looks like for that. But 1 Million Cups, absolutely love that format. And that reminds me that I need to send an email to Peter here, the co-organizer for the Boulder meetup. But Boulder will continue to be very strategic with what we're building because Boulder is one of our identified pilot communities here in Colorado, and Boulder is likely the pilot community that we're going to most heavily invest into building out for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I'll definitely second and agree to that. In my several years of entrepreneurial journey, I'd say Boulder is definitely the hotbed for the development side and the building side. Denver is a great location for when you want to sort of showcase stuff. So when you want to start incorporating the local communities, the average, just because of how big and landscapey it is. So getting both of those in lock is definitely, I definitely agree with that.
Indeed. And speaking of which, I'm actually going to be headed up to Boulder to connect with some blockchain and crypto friends for a happy hour here. So that being said, I've got a little bit of work to do before I will feel good about doing a happy hour. And thanks again, everybody. Have a fun and safe weekend. I'll post the Let Us Meet. I did get that created for our third community call. That's going to be the third week of August. And again, going to be running these community calls on a bi-weekly basis.